Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦 is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦.
Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦.
Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦.
Dr. Doreen 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦 is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Nisa says, what do we do for our adult loved ones that have been diagnosed to get jobs that will give them a living wage to prevent institutions and group homes? What types of jobs do we know that can provide society and help them to thrive?
That is a wonderful question.
It is.
And this is one of the things that I really love, and we should try to get this gentleman on our show because I admire this so much. You know, I was very lucky to be involved with UBS, which is a bank. They do this kind of thing every year where they have an autism roundtable and they bring a bunch of people together and we discuss autism issues. And a couple of years ago, last year, I was one of the speakers actually, and it was a very nice program. But the year before that, or a couple of years, it was right before COVID. They brought together a lot of, this was the topic, was services for adults. And they brought together a lot of parents of adults who were trying to put together programs. There's, as you know, Denise Resnick in Arizona has a program for adults. But there are a lot of other people who've come together and they're developing programs for adults. There was a gentleman whose brother was autistic and he had started car washes in, I think, the New Jersey area, I want to say. And they were extremely successful, and he had now just, like, the majority of his employees were actually adults on the spectrum. And it was, so these car washes were being run by individuals on the spectrum, and I loved it. I thought, what a brilliant idea to do something like that. So there are many jobs. It's hard. This is another thing that I was talking about. You know, adult centers that do vocational training are few. But if certainly there are the adults, even the most severely affected adults that have interests. And if we can identify their interests, it's important because then you are teaching the individual a job that they actually enjoy. Yeah. And let's be clear on this. Their interests are not necessarily going to be similar to ours. Like, they have different kinds of interests. For instance, we used to employ a gentleman who was just extremely good at memorizing numbers. And we employed him in our HR department because he was just like, he knew everybody's benefits just, you know, from memory. And he enjoyed that. He enjoyed being the person that could just tell you exactly what everybody's benefits were. And it was very impressive, actually. So that's the kind of thing. In some areas you have to, like, employers will make modifications, and more employers are learning how to make modifications so that they can support and help the individual. But our individuals on the spectrum have lots of talents, and whether it's kind of a job like working at a car wash, or of course even, you know, there are still places where adults are doing things like matching items that will be sold together, like shoes, or for instance, putting buttons in boxes. Those types of things are all, you know, factory type work. Or if it's something that involves, let's say, computers, which a lot of our folks are very good at, or memorization of facts and that sort of stuff, like research of certain things. You know, some of our adults are the most incredible people when it comes to, like, let's say, researching geography or past history or something like that. So it really just depends on their interests and what they're able to do in the workspace.
We've been doing the show for 13 years, so you can imagine we've featured a lot of different stories of how people are getting it done. We haven't by any means scratched the surface of how many different organizations are getting this done. But I will point you to some of the interviews that we've done in the past with 𝗟𝗓𝗧'𝗦, who
yes, exactly.
Helps train individuals to go into working in, like, for Microsoft,
computer
and
jobs,
SAP,
yes,
all of those things. We were scheduled to have a gentleman that you had hooked us up with last week. We had to reschedule because he had a conflict.
Oh, right.
For AutoCon.
Yes.
That he will be on to talk about this. But there are little pockets everywhere. Of course, Joanne Laura had started Glorious Pies. But there is a place up in San Francisco that has a coffee shop and a craft thing that they are doing. There's the Tidewater car washes in Miami that are doing that same thing. So many different places. Extraordinary Ventures in North Carolina, where
Yes.
parents got together, and there are 5 separate businesses that they put together for event planning.
love that.
They do laundry, they do table rental and setting up stages, but then they also have all the tablecloths and everything that they rent. They have a florist, they have a
love
gift
it.
shop, everything you can imagine. Usually it's a parent or a family member who
Who
says,
has started the whole thing,
yes.
yeah.
But I will also tell you too, there's a growing entrepreneurship among people that are on the spectrum, that they find that they want to be their own boss. And there is a place that helps to train them called 𝗟𝗊𝗧''𝗦 that has a whole program to help them to know how to run their own business. So there are all kinds of things out there. You just have to look for them.
I love
and if
these
you,
resources that
and
you
if-
just like know top of
well,
your head.
I'm not always good with the names, but we've done shows with almost all of them. But I will tell you that if you look to see if there's something in your area, there might already be, because there are enough people are getting to the age where people, the family members have said we had to create this. If you find that there isn't, then you have the job of creating it yourself, but just know that there are tons of people to mentor you who have been there, done that before you, to help create the job. I think it's really important to take the bull by the horns, because we'd all love to just arrive.
Yes.
Arrive on the doorstep and go, here I am.
Yes.
But it doesn't always work that way. If your kiddo is into film, Extraordinary Minds has a 2-year program where they can learn rotoscoping.
Amazing.
They do the opening. This is amazing. Anytime you go to a Marvel movie, we always sit through all the credits and watch, because they thank Extraordinary Minds, because they do the openings to all of the Marvel movies.
That's
These are kids on the
amazing.
spectrum that are learning their craft, and then they go into jobs in the industry. So there are
love
things, you just have to look around for them. Okay. Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.